Welcome to the 2022 coverage of KubeCon and Cloud Native Con. Today, we have the pleasure of having Ronak Raman, who's the Developer Relations Manager at Quali. How are you doing today?
Wonderful. Thank you, gentlemen, for having me on.
It was great to have you. Maybe you can start by telling our viewers a little bit about the company, kind of give a quick overview.
Yeah, I would love to. So thank you for the warm introduction. I am Ronak, the Developer Relations Manager at Quali. And, a little bit about Quali. Quali has been providing environments as a service for over a decade. Our roots come from IT labs as a service, mainly for like network engineers, but we expanded that because that involved, infrastructure provisioning. That allowed us early, before IAC became a hot topic, to become experts in infrastructure automation and understand its life cycle. It's not just provision and forget about it. We have a product now from all that learning, a SaaS product called Torque. It's a control plane solutions for accessing infrastructure on demand without worrying any of that, the guardrails and the business context, which, I mean, you need to take care of, but you possibly don't want to be an expert on as an application developer. And we bake in things like cost controls and permissions, as well as abstracting the need to directly access the cloud. So yeah, that's what Quali has been doing, and we evolved from provisioning out infrastructure in labs to in the cloud.
And as we're here today talking about KubeCon, Cloud Native Con, how does Quali fit within that ecosystem, of all the vendors and partners and attendees that are here at the show?
Yeah, great question, David. This isn't gonna probably surprise anyone how we fit. Since we automate the infrastructure of, automate the creation and management of infrastructure, as you can imagine, and KubeCon and Cloud Native representing the infrastructure providers, we're basically, the ecosystem that we're talking about represents a target area for application development teams to deploy their bits. And we fit right into their software development pipeline by allowing the creation of that infrastructure and the management, day after day one worries for that infrastructure. And we manage, Kubernetes and direct cloud access and provision out items directly from your cloud as well. So I think we fit right in. If you think of software creation as your typical CI/CD pipeline, we are command line ready, and you call up our recipes, our blueprints to provision out your environment, so you don't have to assume it's built for you, or you don't have to open up a ticket with your DevOps or your shared services system. You can instantiate it right then and there inside your CI/CD pipeline and deploy to it and tear it down as well. Since Kubernetes, we have pods and stuff, and we can it's not meant to be long-lived anyway, so we manage all of that. We fit right in, just like Git would fit right in to the pipeline.
Great. And for the people that are attending the event, what specific problems do you solve for them? And do you have any specific use cases for your product?
Yeah, well, I have notes here, but I would just typically what I would ask my audience, and by the way, thank you for attending and listening to us. I've heard a stat somewhere that said work is like 80% drudgery and then 20% awesomeness. Talking to directly to users and this type of opportunity definitely for me falls in that 20% of awesomeness. Okay, and so I would just say anybody who's dealing with infrastructure and depends on it, it's especially in the context of application development, is have you ever experienced a slowdown in velocity, meaning how fast you can deliver features because of any infrastructure related problems? And by that I mean not just creation, but have you had problems in lower environments that your lower environment wasn't true to production, or has production drifted from its original spec and you haven't brought that back to, reverse integrated, if you will, if we're talking about like the source control paradigm, you haven't reverse integrated those changes based on drift. We solve those types of problems. It's the frustration dealing with infrastructure and I'm sorry, I should say environments, because it's not just infrastructure, it's your configuration management, and it's the using of your different IAC, infrastructure as code scripts. If you've ever experienced the frustrations around that, or getting the latest copy, or having the correct permissions to your cloud, we abstract that into a control plane and make that become like a command line within your pipeline, so that you don't have to worry about it. And I would be willing to bet that this audience, everyone depends on their infrastructure being ready, their deployment target. I would guess this is a pain that people have, and I would love for them to, I would invite them to see how we solve that problem.
And then maybe if you could dive into your technology a bit more, give us sort of the rundown, and maybe more importantly, if you could, what makes Quali unique or differentiated in the market?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I do think sometimes about like, I don't like to think of competitors as like a, like an enemy. I kind of like to think of them as like a barometer for, what folks need. And I like now, I've been talking about Quali's Torque, and our primary technology offering is Torque. We do have another offering called Cloud Shell that is where our roots come from IT lab provisioning, but Torque is our SaaS offering, and that's our primary offering. We do have I've seen an uptick in competitors, which I take as a compliment, a validation of the space, if you will, that there is a need. But I would like to say differentiation is easy because, those guys are playing catch up, copying our features, and we're releasing them first. And it works sort of like this. I think of it in simple terms of a three-part process. No one wants you to, the CI/CD pipeline and automation of creation of applications is very complex already. We have yet another tool. I don't want to introduce yet another tool that adds yet another layer of complexity that an application developer has to think on. The object and a good tool that fits into your CI/CD pipeline seamlessly removes complexity, right? And it's a three-part process. You don't have to throw away anything existing. We're not asking you to recreate the world. Like if you switch to Terraform from batch files, or if you switch to Helm charts, you're going to end up rewriting your technology or CloudFront. If you have to change from that, you're going to end up rewriting. We don't ask for any of that. We ingest. Part one is ingest your existing IAC scripts, such as Terraform or Helm or batch file. And then we have a normalization process, which basically these are infrastructure. We're providing functionality for automating infrastructure. That's what Terraform does. That's what Helm does. And so we normalize that as blueprints. So these are recipes, that you can distribute with our permissions control and value add of cost tracking, because we can do that. Because we've normalized it all as functions, and we connect to your cloud account. So we know directly the cost. These aren't estimates, And so that's part two, the normalization. Now, once you're normalized and you get all that value add, the third part is using. And that's the fun part. I think of it as, if you think of the hokey CI/CD lazy 8 or the DevOps lazy 8 thing, think about it as now you can use environments. It isn't static. You can deploy environments for whatever need you have at whatever part of the journey. Do you need to reproduce a bug? Well, your blueprint would have, parameters that allow you to say, hey, this is a near production, and we're taking this branch and we're trying to represent this bug. Or maybe I'm doing greenfield development and I just copied over a blueprint from another project, and I'm going to be starting at a development environment. So we allow the usage. So it's three parts: ingest, normalize, and have fun, use. And so that's, I think, one of the things that is our differentiator. It is a control plane. So for the folks who are listening, especially our competitors, by the time you catch up with that, we would have added more functionality, more types of scripts we can ingest, and more value add normalization. And by the way, just being totally cheeky about the competitors, I love and appreciate that we do have competitors. It makes talks like this and awareness that much easier. So that's our differentiator now, the 3-part process, and we'll continue to grow that.
Right. And historically, KubeCon has been a place where people make new announcements of products. Does Quali have any new announcements that you'll be talking about at the show?
Yeah, I have some notes here, and just let me add some context here. I could say, we're going to release this, but remember I said we're a control plane and the 3-part process of discover, normalize, and use, and we're constantly growing out what we can discover. So it used to be at first just Terraform, then we added Helm scripts, and we started with batch files and shell scripts, right? So we're going to continue to grow that in the discovery process, and we'll see this in the demo that I'll offer. We offer, at first it was GitHub. Now we have Bitbucket and GitLab. And so we're going to continue to expand on that. The part that I'm excited to announce here is in the use bucket, we have a drift feature where we can tell you in production what has drifted from your blueprint. And now that used to be, we would do that for Terraform instantiated infrastructure. We're happy to say we are going to be doing that for Helm as well. And we're going to continue to grow out that feature. And so when you hear from me again on what new features or whatnot, it'll be hopefully a growing list within those 3 buckets.
Now, on the keynote stage during KubeCon, we're going to hear a lot about big picture topics. Yeah. What big themes, trends is Quali interested in as we head into 2023?
This question is interesting, and I believe my leader, our founder and CEO, Lior, will talk to you guys more about this, and I'm excited to hear what he has to say. But I'm going to, and I love saying this, but I'm gonna speak above my pay grade level here. Sorry, Lior, just kidding. I can do this. The big picture for Quali and Torque in particular, our star offering, our SaaS offering, if you will, it's pretty simple. It's overcoming the cloud infrastructure skills gap, meaning there's just few people who know how to configure these complicated environments to deliver the automation. It's to allow, democratize that access, and companies making, and at the same time, we want to move fast, but we don't want to break things. We want to make the teams more accountable for cloud costs and have their guardrails like policies and permissions. That's the big picture. So allowing everyone to access infrastructure as a service, infrastructure creation as a service, and to meet business needs such as cloud cost control. And what's important about that, I'm not an economist or an expert here, but I do know that we've faced tons of uncertainty recently, like with COVID and just a whole lot of things. And what I've seen, the really scrappy companies that were able to make it through unscathed, and there were companies, were ones that were really prepared for this. I know that's a no-brainer statement, but the way you prepare for these is to have your costs in order. There's no time to, when the chips are down, you can't be wasting money, and you don't want to be thinking about furloughing or workforce reduction. You want to be prepared for that. And I think the big picture here is move fast, but safely with guardrails, and we are trying to offer that as a big picture win for companies that use Torque.
Well, we've heard a lot about Torque, so maybe we should take a look at it. Would you be able to give us a quick demo?
It would be my pleasure, Brian. So let me share my screen here. Okay, so what you're looking at is Torque, and right here up at the top, we have our drop down that allows us to select space. For this demo, I'm just going to, typically these relate to different application teams, okay? And that's how we differentiate what you can do and what you can run. Here is, with this a demo, I created 2 spaces. One to show the discovery process, that first bucket, and first and second bucket. I'll show you discovering and normalization. And then I have another one that's just meant to use the third bucket of use and at will, right? So if I jump over to discovery here and I jump over to repositories, I've showed you that all you have to do is dump your IAC inside of a Git repo. We don't mandate at all what format. So this format could be anything, right? And you could have it stuffed and hidden like 10 folders deep. All we do once we've connected is we say discover assets. It goes and searches your repo and looks for and it gives you the symbol, like I have some Helm charts and some Terraform. I'm gonna just take 2 so that we can properly see how we do it. So that's ingesting. And then part 2 is normalizing. So we generate the blueprints for that. And it's saying, hey, do you want to continue to do this? I say yes. It takes you directly to the blueprints. These now represent the normalized view of those Terraform scripts. What does that mean practically? That means we're allowed to do things like manage policies and value add that the script never had on it. But the script is still core to the normalization, obviously, because we didn't write the functionality, we're taking it. And you can see it's related directly back to your repository path. So this blueprint married to the IAC that's located in your Git repo, if you update it, this blueprint will update too. And that is how we'll use that as the baseline to detect drift and whatnot. So now I've showed you that it has been normalized and it's ready for use. So let's talk about like actually using it. And this is about how simple it is. So say I want to launch an environment. So I went to another space, and if you have no environments launch, it'll say, do you want to launch an environment? Great, I am going to launch an environment. And I'll just do a WordPress environment, and it's this stands for multi-TF. It's just a cue for me to know that this is a more complicated blueprint that has multiple, that is ingesting and using multiple Terraform scripts. And here is how we make, you know, I talked about the lazy 8, we can deploy environments in any part of that. Here's where you make that recipe configured towards the environment or the situation that you're using. And so here it's fine. I'm just going to say for the tag, true enough, this is a demo. So I'm going to launch this environment. And if it takes a long time, you don't have to wait. It will email you. But here it is. It's being launched. It has detected what type of assets the Terraform script is going to create. It's initializing here. And when it's done, in the same amount of time that it would take you to manually run these Terraform scripts, you'll get quick links that get created here. And these are configured in your blueprint. If your application has a URL, it'll be presented here. So it's a one-stop shop. You create the environment, the bits are deployed through your CI/CD, and then it presents you with that end goal there. So as far as I'm concerned, as a developer, I have a new change, the CI/CD pipeline runs, and I can just go to this quick link and see where it deployed to. What I should have had was an environment already running, so I could have shown you that quick link. I believe it is going to take, it's still doing the environment. These are large scripts, so it's going to run and then it's going to provide all that. But notice here also, I have real costs, so I've only spent a penny right now. Real costs calculated against your cloud account. And, you know, of course, we can find logs and you can tell exactly where you are in the creation of that infrastructure here. So that would be the demo. I'm going to stop sharing. Oh, let me summarize too what we've done. We did do the 3 things. We discovered, you know, all the assets in our repo. We normalized, they were presented as blueprints, and then 3, we ran it. And that would be it.
So thanks again for being part of VMblog's KubeCon and Cloud Native Con coverage. And we appreciate that great demo and all the knowledge that you dropped on us. Where can folks go if they want to learn more about the demo and the things we talked about today?
Yeah, that's a great question. That would be www.quali.com/start-trial. Okay, and I really, I want to thank you, David and Brian, for having me on. I want to thank our audience as well. Your time is limited, especially if you go to this link and try out our product. Even more thanks. And if you like it and have value, I certainly hope you do. And if you don't, I even would appreciate more if you tell me what you didn't find valuable and how we could make that more valuable. So thanks again, gentlemen, and thank you, folks watching.
All right. Well, thanks again. Appreciate it.